The perfect grade 00 Gundam 7 Sword G is still the same perfect grade 00 we saw back in 2009, with a very minor visual update and a brand new loadout. Even though a 9-year-old kit at its core, it still holds up. And this got so close to being gold tier, but due to a bunch of infuriating reasons throughout the review, it's been relegated to silver. It's got nothing on last year's Exia, and let's find out why. Once again, as usual, this video right here would not be possible without those awesome people over at HobbyLink Japan. So if you want a 007 sword of your own, there's a link down there in the description. So this right here is the colossal perfect grade Gundam 007 Sword G, out of the box, just snapped together with no extra effort at all. And before I get into the actual nitty-gritty, I know that 00 needs no introduction. Definitely one of the most popular mobile suits from any of the multiple Gundam universes, hailing from 2008's Season 2 of Mobile Suit Gundam 00. But this right here isn't the 00 Gundam, it's the 007 Sword. As for this mobile suit right here, this is from the offshoot manga Gundam 00V, a refurbished version of the standard 00 Gundam from the anime, after its pilot Setsuna F Seiei moved on to the Quanta. And did I mention it never saw battle once? Never. Yes, they made a perfect grade Gunpla out of a mobile suit that never once left the garage. Even though this model right here is just the 2009 kit once again, it still looks absolutely stunning. The details, beautiful. The colors, on point. The proportions look absolutely excellent. However, I do feel that the feet are a little bit on the big side, but I'm guessing they play a functional role due to the weight. Wait, what's this? You're right, but honestly, all but the most trained eye would never have even noticed. The biggest obvious difference is the knees are blue on this one, which is the biggest difference between the 7 Sword and the standard 00 Gundam. And just in case you are interested, the old set of white knees are included. Besides that, the 00 has been given a minor breast reduction, a shoulder enlargement, a brow lift moving the yellow antenna back slightly, and all of these are quite subtle, but all in all they do make it look a lot better. All in all though, this kit is an absolute visual delight. According to the instructions, this right here is a Class B digital device, so don't let the Gunpla police catch you with it. And what that actually means is we do have these old school GN drives in the shoulders, which have motorized spinning green lights. And honestly, these things right here sound like crickets going Super Saiyan. I mean, these are noisy. These are definitely not as classy and refined as the one we've got on the back of the PG Exia lighting model, but of course that kit right there is a damn sight more expensive. As well as those noisy GN drives, we also have an old school LED unit in the head. And this is definitely one gripe I have with this kit right here. They could have updated the clear parts in the head or the stickers. Use the stickers with this kit, you block out the lights. Don't use the stickers and you've got no detail. Considering what they did last year with the Exia, we had clear stickers so the light would come through. You think they would have done that with this kit, but no, they just gave you the old stickers from before. This is absolutely wasted potential right here. So moving on to the comparisons, and there it is side by side with the Master Grade, which is much smaller, but when I move it up to the same size as the Perfect Grade, you can see there is quite a lot of differences between the two. Visually, I think both look great in their own right, but when you look at them from the side, the feet on the Perfect Grade are a bit on the huge side, but once again, that is more than likely to deal with the weight. Next up, there it is side by side with the premium Bandai Trans Am version of the standard 00 Riser. The most obvious difference, of course, is the fact that it's Trans Am. But besides that, this has the old shoulders, chest, knees, and antenna up on the head. The bigger shoulders definitely do look a lot nicer, very subtle though. And from the side, you can see that the new chest sections that are smaller look better, and the slightly more backward angled antenna looks better as well. And finally, there it is side by side with last year's Perfect Grade Exia, and there's not really a whole lot to compare here because they're different kits. So this is just for you guys to see visually what they're both like side by side in case you're tossing up between the two of them. Aesthetically, it really is down to your own tastes, but when it comes to design, articulation, and all those other aspects, the Exia wins hands down. Without a doubt, the Exia is the best model kit I have ever built. It is so cool. This is the lighting model, but all in all, to me, the Exia was the best model I have ever built. So awesome. You can check the review out if you want. As usual, one of the most important tests for a Gundam kit is how does it look on your shelf? What's its shelf presence like? So if you can spot it up on the shelf there, then it has that shelf presence. If you can't, then it doesn't, but I don't think you'll be having a problem spotting it. Onto the articulation now, and as this is a 9-year-old kit, I'm sure there's hundreds of reviews out there of it. I also have a review of the Trans Am version, which is essentially the same kit, so I'm gonna go through this fairly quickly, and the most noticeable point... this right here is not a kit for beginners, and probably one of the daftest joint designs I have ever come across. Spring-loaded locking joints, where you have to press the GN condensers in to move the joints. This is my second time building these, and these are the Achilles heel of the kit, and the Achilles knees, Achilles shoulders, Achilles elbows, and the Achilles wrists. Yeah, but there isn't actually any in the heels. Build these perfectly and they're okay, but any minor goof and you're in for a world of migraines. Personally, I hate them. And if every other perfect grade kit can live without them, then this could have lived without them too. It's not like these locking joints helps it hold the heavy weapons, because it doesn't. It still needs a big old stand to do that, and some of them still fall out all the time. Any minor adjustment you want to do to a pose involves infuriating, awkward button pressing. Not cool, and once all the equipment's on there, it's nearly impossible to get to these. But besides those awkward, infuriating locking joints, the articulation is fine. Nothing special, moving on. I almost forgot to mention that this kit does also come with the typical 007 Sword style decals. Basically a bunch of white lines and blue lines to accentuate the lines on the kit. But these here are just stickers. This right here is a perfect grade. These should have been water slides, not standard stickers. That's something I'd expect to see in a master grade, even a high grade maybe, but not a perfect grade. We do get a small set of rub-on dry transfers as well, but the majority are just standard stickers. So now moving on to what makes the 007 Sword G the 007 Sword G. And that's not that he likes his cocktails shaken not stirred, it's that it's got himself 7 swords and a G. G is for gun. And what a gun this thing is. It's even longer than my forearm. And now you guys have a metric for how short my forearms are. Get yours today at HobbyLink Japan. So that right here is everything this kit comes with, which is quite a lot. Before I get into that though, I will mention the leftovers, which is all the old parts that were replaced on this kit. All the old parts from the standard 00 riser. And funnily enough, that's head, shoulders, knees, and boobs. We're 2 blades short of the full 00 riser shields, which is a disappointment, and we also have these 2 effect parts from the 00 riser's GN swords. And before you ask, nope, they do not fit sadly. Not a chance. But with some expert level Gunpla builder techniques, you can rig them together into an awesome beam sword shield. It can connect onto the forearm like this, and it can convert into an actual beam boomerang. And seriously, if this video right here gets over 3,000 likes, I will actually bring this to the park and see if it works. But as for the actual accessories, as well as the standard fully posable pair of perfect grade hands, thank God we got a pair of fixed pose hands in here as well, because as awesome as the posable perfect grade hands are, they're not the greatest for holding weapons. And this kit comes with some whoppers. But these hands can only be used with the Buster Sword. Next up in here we've got a 1/60th scale. So now moving on to the actual 7 swords, the first 2 of which are the 00 butt sabers. Same as what we saw before and big enough to eat your ramen with. The GN Sword 2 short and the GN Sword 2 long. Guess he couldn't find one the right length. Sorry, I'm sorry. Couldn't help myself. Anyway, the handles on these are the exact same as the ones we saw with the 00 riser. The blades are different. There are no silver pieces along the outside of the blade. Decals are included, of course. And once again, yes, the leftover beams do not attach, sadly. And remember, 3,000 likes, see if this flies. As for the individual swords, the GN Sword 2 long has a moving handle on the side, and the GN Sword 2 short separates in the center, and we do have an included wire to display the tip of the sword deployed. Also, I will mention right here that these can only attach into the old style posable perfect grade hands. And if Bandai thinks that a 4mm tab of plastic will hold up this monstrosity, well, they're wrong. The GN Sword 2 long is GN Sword 2 heavy. Next up are the pair of beam Katars. These look absolutely sick with those clear green business ends. When not in use, these are stored on the sides of the knees. The handles can pop out to use these in the hands. That is the posable hands once again. They don't fit into these ones. We have some shield sections which attach up onto the top of these, and then these can be attached just under the GN drives for this absolutely awesome looking cool wing-like effect, and it almost gives a bit of a 00 riser feel. Then pop this little adapter into the back of them, and they can be attached onto the back of the forearms for some stabby shields. Both of those shield sections can attach to each other to make this giant shield. It's huge. And finally, with this handy dandy little handle, they can be attached together into this absolutely monolithic glaive that looks so cool. And speaking of monolithic, this Buster Sword is crazy huge. It is absolutely awesome. This right here is the GN Buster Sword 2. Pull the upper section out like this, and using this circular adapter section which fits around the GN drive, this can be stored up here on the shoulder. This is quite heavy and quite long and will cause the 00 to tilt, and I mean it will tilt all the time. On an action base, will tilt. Even with the sword buster on the other side, it'll tilt. And if you want to convert this into sword mode, just pull the handle out like this, and the guard sections pop out. Awesome. Push that whole section in and pop the blade, and this is where the Buster Sword really shines. And I mean literally, as it has an LED unit in it. The on-off mechanism here is quite smart. You don't have to open it up to turn the LED unit on and off. Just move this little section here up and down, and that will turn it on and off for you. That's awesome. When attaching this absolutely huge shield to the forearm, we do have another adapter in here, which places at the wrist near the forearm, which really locks it into place. So this has a very sturdy connection right here. This isn't going to fall off. However, this can sag a little bit, but not too much surprisingly. But when it does, there is an action base included in here to support it. Last up then is the G, which makes up the 7 Sword G, and of course that is the GN2 Sword Blaster. Once again, using an adapter, this can be stored up here on the shoulder, and this blaster looks absolutely badass with this big green blade. But it is relatively bland compared to the Buster Sword. It doesn't do a whole lot, it's really just a big brick. And as for options here, this can be held in the hand as a sword, split the handle in there, and it can be held as a rifle. It does connect on quite well into the front and rear of the forearm, which means this does have an incredibly secure and tight connection. And also we have this little pop-out handle on the side. So far we've seen a lot of pros and cons with this kit so far, but the absolute biggest gripe for me, the biggest letdown right here, is the lack of a dedicated stand. And I mean like the one we saw with the 00 riser. If the 00 riser came at one, why not one here? This kit does have the hole so it can use that stand, but there's nothing to stick in here. It's absolutely easy to go out and buy a stand for a high grade or a master grade, but right here I guess you're shit out of luck unless you have the standard 00 riser, which includes this stand. Otherwise, this kit right here is relegated to standing poses only. And honestly, the 00 always looks better in the air, so that is a massive disappointment. So that is it for the review, and what can I say? I absolutely love the mobile suit. That I would say is gold tier. Despite the condensers that are a little bit annoying, once you get over them, once you build them, once you get used to pressing them, it's all fine. Locks into place very nicely, and I would say the same for the weapons. They're very nice. I would say they were gold tier too. They're huge and impressive. But the problem is, once you put them all together, it falls apart. Literally. And this kit right here, in my opinion, is silver tier. That still means it is exactly what I would expect from a perfect grade. It just doesn't excel in any way. On top of that, it doesn't come with water slide decals, just stickers. It didn't come with clear stickers for over the LED unit sections in the head, and the worst point of all, it doesn't come with a dedicated stand, so it's stuck on the ground. Again, this is not a bad kit, it's just not a great kit. Last year we got the absolutely fantastic Exia, which was for the 10th anniversary of 00. They're saying that this one kind of is too, but it's not the 10th anniversary anymore, that was last year. However, it was the anniversary of Char's counterattack, so I feel that they did want to have the perfect grade new Gundam for this year, they just didn't make it happen, and this was a placeholder. This right here should have been Premium Bandai, not a full release. Again, it is still awesome. It's huge, monolithic, the weapons are epic, but it has a lot of trouble holding them, and that stand does not cut it. At the end of the day, just like with every model kit, this is going to end up on your shelf, and that's where it will stand out and look fantastic. So if you want yourself some shelf candy, and or you're an absolutely expert modeler who can put the extra time in to make sure this doesn't fall apart, then this right here is for you. Link in the description if you want one. But if you are a beginner, or you want something that's absolutely perfect out of the box, something you can pose a lot, take a lot of photos of, this might not be what you're after. But once again, it is an absolutely beautiful looking huge kit. It's just a cake that could have spent a little bit more time in the oven. But as always, thank you very much for watching. Make sure to come back for more Gunpla reviews in 2019. Have an absolutely awesome new year. And of course, I'll see you next time.